Hey, Cleveland, this is Tristan Thompson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're listening to Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Hey guys, J-Rocc here from the Sports Fix, and we always talking about using our platform to try to help the world and the society we live in, and everywhere I go and everywhere we go, bullying is one of the problems in today's society. There's nothing worse than any person, big or small, strong or weak, adult or child, feeling picked on, pushed around, vulnerable, and victimized at the hands of a bully. Change comes one person at a time, and my good friends at No Such Thing as a Bully are working on skills and techniques and ways that we can all change and make things better for everyone. Find out more at nosuchthingasabully.com.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
There we go, off and running, and away we go. Today, a very different, it's going to be, hey, we are focused on one thing today, a very single-minded edition of the Sports Fix here as we get things rocking and rolling. I've got gravel in my voice today. I'm on about 3 hours of sleep, and it's going to be a lot of fun today. Dan Wismar is going to join us. If you haven't heard, they played, well, I don't want to call it a game because it wasn't really much of a contest, but they played some basketball last night, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are heading. Where are they heading? What was that again? That thing, not the lottery, the finals. That's it, the NBA finals. That's what we're talking about today. Dan Wismar is going to join us. We're going to open up the phone lines. We're going to talk to you guys. We're going to do the thing, and we're talking Cavaliers today, a midweek edition of the Sports Fix. Time to get going. You guys ready to do the thing? I am as well. Welcome into the Sports Fix, you guys, across the Sports Fix Radio Network. I am your host, the Big Daddy, here on the microphone. J-Rocc, Jerry Myers, call me all of the above, anything you wish. Happy to be here talking Cavs, talking a sweep of the Atlanta Hawks and a return trip, first time since 2007, to the NBA Finals for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Welcome in, you guys, whether you're listening live on TuneIn or TuneIn's radio app worldwide. Maybe you're listening on Spreaker, Mixler, their respective digital or mobile applications. Perhaps you're enjoying the show live on our home base, thesportsfix.net, as we say. It's your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports and the Sports Fix. Make sure you bookmark it. It's a great place to listen to the show as a backup if anything goes wrong. Any of the places that you may normally listen to the show live at noon, it booms right out there across the right on the website, thesportsfix.net as well. Welcome in all of you guys, the thousands who listen every day around the world 24/7 on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, CarPlay, all the places that you download us, feed us, subscribe us, podcast us, do the thing, get your fix. Thank you guys so much for doing it. As I said today, a very single-minded focus today. We're not doing the whole all over the place gimmick today. We're talking Cavaliers and Cavaliers hoops only as they stand atop the Eastern Conference, 4 victories away from this city of Cleveland's first championship in 50 professional seasons for 3 different teams, by the way, and 51 years on the calendar. We're going to get into it. Dan Wismar is going to join us. I don't know how you felt last night watching it. Much different than 2007, as I said. But I don't want to just talk to myself or Dan Wismar. I want to talk to you. The opening segment today, we're talking with you. Phones are open. Facebook, Twitter's open. Also, a jam-packed edition because, as Bruce reminded me here in the chat room, Tribe's playing early, so we're going to do the thing, get out of here so you guys can enjoy the second half of your game. As I said, I'm going on about 2 hours and 45 minutes of sleep myself. So we're going to talk some Cavs. We're going to talk to you. We're going to talk to Dan Wismar. We're going to update you on the Tribe. Talk back with me. Use your voice. Get your fix. Be a part of the show. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Can't get to the phone. Maybe you're using it to listen to the show. Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com, Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us here anytime at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. And I'm going to take some of your calls here in the first segment before we get going talking about the Cavaliers. They finish a 4-game sweep last night of the Atlanta Hawks. And, hey, man, you know, I'll go back to just about a week ago when we broke into this series, when we previewed it, and I was definitely, you're going to get a couple of them here because a few of my things came through. I mean, Tristan Thompson, I've been on the Tristan Thompson bandwagon since the day the Cavs drafted him with that number 4 selection, and I have fought some of you guys. Some of you've talked to me in the last couple of weeks and said, boy, you turned out to be right about that one. Hey, don't get me wrong. For every Tristan, there's a Dion Waiters too, but Delly, another one, another reason why we're talking about what we're talking about here. But the Hawks series, I said it when the playoffs started, that there were 3 or 4 teams that I feared more than the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA playoffs. And when this series began, I was calling for a 5-game win for the Cavs. The Cavaliers did it in 4. I just felt that the way it played out was exactly the way it was going to play out. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't feel bad saying this. I don't have blinders on or wine and gold colored glasses when I say this. Unequivocally, the Cleveland Cavaliers, as we stand today, are the best team playing in the NBA, above either team still standing in the Western Conference, and by definition, above everybody in the Eastern Conference. The Cleveland Cavaliers, mark it down, write it down, get ready to come back at me in about 10 days, are your next NBA champions. The next world champions of professional basketball reside right here in Cleveland, Ohio. The Cavaliers single-handedly dissected each round of this playoffs with a single-minded purpose and adaptability and just in general, the way that they attacked this throughout the postseason. This team has gotten better through each quarter pole of the season, has gotten better through each round of the playoffs as the adversity has piled up. The Cavaliers bucket off. Somebody else steps up. This is the best team in Cavaliers franchise history. I can't wait to get Dan in on the conversation and see if he agrees with that statement. In the entire 40-plus year history of this franchise, the best team that has ever worn the wine and gold stands before you today in 2015, and they are 4 victories away from ending the drought, and they will be the NBA champions in the next few weeks. You can mark it down. Neither Houston nor Golden State can beat the Cavaliers, not only in a 7-game series, but I'll call it now. If it's Houston or Golden State, the Cavaliers are winning the NBA championship in 5 games or less in the NBA Finals. This team is on a mission, and that is not to short sight anybody that's remaining in these playoffs. Golden State will shrink when they meet up with the Cavaliers. Houston has a better chance to beat the Cavaliers than Golden State does, in my opinion. Neither team will be successful. Your NBA champions reside in the East. They reside right here in Cleveland. And I want to say something. I know I've got callers here, and I'm going to go to it. We're going to talk about the X's and O's of the series and the playoffs and the round, all of that stuff. But I want to say something. Last night, I was enjoying the game with Jessica I, our girl, getting ready to knock Misha Tate down to the ground in a little bit here, coming up from Chicago. And a few friends and I were watching the game last night. And I got to tell you, we had this conversation, and I said I was going to open the show with this because you guys know I'm, hey, man, heart on my sleeve like you guys love Cleveland, pride for this city, the whole LeBron James thing. We've talked about it up and down, and you know, some people, forgiveness is given at the snap of a finger. And you know what? Hey, I dig those people. I definitely don't always have that inside of me in all kinds of aspects, and sometimes that's a good thing to have. I was definitely one of those people that needed some work done. Day one didn't impress me. Coming home, the letter, okay, that was the peace offering, the olive branch. Okay, let's see where it goes. And, you know, there were still things here and there. Things didn't come together. There was growth and maturity left to be seen. And I've talked all season long, you guys, for real. Let's throw all the BS aside. I've talked all season long, little by little, as we've watched the maturity, especially listening after the games, the way LeBron talks, discusses, dissects things, all of the things, watching the way this team came together, not just under him, but around him and around David Blatt, regardless of what the national narrative was in the media. And then all throughout the season, we've seen those little steps, little we've talked about it. And I've said, hey, that's another step in the right direction, man. Let's see where this thing goes. And then I've talked about how impressed during the playoffs and all of that. But I go back, and we talked a lot about this yesterday. Go back to Game 3 against the Hawks. The end of that game, I said this to the group of people I was watching the game with yesterday, and I'll say it publicly right here on the air. And it's not like, hey, look, man, it's not like LeBron James needed anybody's individual. It's like, hey, if you want to get with it, cool. If not, that's cool. And I definitely was not with it for quite some time. And I'm one of those people that said, hey, show me more. Show me something else. Show me something else. But I can honestly say I think at this point, this is a definite fair thing for anybody to say that was on the same side of the fence as me. Is I'm not talking about winning some games. I'm not talking about a playoff berth. I'm not talking about, posing for pictures, any of that crap that they did before. I'm talking about what we've seen here and now, culminating not last night, but in Game 3, in the effort that team and LeBron James as an individual basketball player gave to the point of exhaustion at the end. I said this statement last night, and I'm going to say it to you guys right here. When he hit that ground, when that buzzer went off, that right there, that was the moment that I said, I'm good. I'm done. I'm good. The past is done. I mean, not the past is the past regardless. But do you know what I mean? At that point, any anger should wash away, and you go, that is the kind of effort that anybody would ask for, that any athlete is asked for by a fan base. Anything, when you go, hey, that's all I ask, there it is right there. And when I saw that, I said, I got to tell you, I felt it, make it sound all crazy and mythological, but wash away at that moment, me, as harsh of a guy as I was about, hey, I'll never forget. And you never forget, but you move past. But at that point, it was more than just move past. At that point, I said, man, I guess you could say all in, whatever. It's not like I never didn't want the Cavaliers to reach this point, but it just all came together for me there, especially the LeBron James aspect. And like I said, at that moment, I said, man, we are good. All is good here. And everybody makes mistakes. Let's go finish this thing off, because that's all you can ask a guy to give you. And what this team has done is all the hell you can ask any team to give you. When you start a season for the Tribe, the Cavs, the Browns, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the record is. 0-16, 16-0, 162, whatever it is, man. You just ask for the kind of effort that these guys have given this year. And if every team in this town gave the effort and played like this Cavaliers team, they don't just have LeBron James. They're a special team. They're more special because they have a special player, but they're just a special team. And you will forever remember watching this team play, not just because they won a championship, but because this is one of the best basketball teams. This is the best basketball team any Cleveland fan has seen in their lifetime as a Cavaliers fan. No doubt in my mind about that. And before they're done, I think they're going to put their names in a bigger record book. But you know what? Let's not put the cart before the horse. I just had to say some of that before we get going. Plus, I wanted to set the stage for you guys and for Dan Wismar as the Cavaliers. For those that were under a rock, it wasn't necessarily a game that they played last night. They all got on the court and went through some motions. And by the way, did that thing play out the way we talked about yesterday or what? Cavaliers smoked it early, put it down in the first quarter. By halftime, you were talking about other stuff. In the third quarter, you're going, man, this game's still going on. By the fourth quarter, you're making plans for the finals, baby. You forgot there was even a game still going on. That second half was interminable because they were just getting slaughtered, the Hawks, I should say, along the way. I love it. We're talking about it. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk to you, 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Caller, you're up on the Sports Fix. What's your name? Where you from?
Oh, Betty from Grafton. How are you?
Hey, Betty. How you doing?
Oh, good. I mean, yeah, I agree. This is a new era. Congratulations, Cavaliers. I'm not surprised. I know we talked about LeBron in the past, but I had a feeling when he came back, in my back of my mind, I kept saying we're going to make the NBA finals. Just like what Vince McKee has said in his book, I believe we were going to make the finals this year, but you never know. It wasn't working out in the beginning, but it's great. We did it the last time we were in the finals, 2007. To be honest with you, when LeBron left in 2010, I didn't think I'd ever see the NBA finals with the Cavaliers in my lifetime, and I'm not that old. I'm proud of the Cavaliers. I'm impressed. I'm glad Irving played. I mean, to me, they played like a championship last night. Atlanta, well, you know. The one thing I've noticed about the Cavaliers, and actually any of the teams, they play different in the playoffs than they do in regular season. And this is a new era. This is a new era with the guys, and I'm proud to be alive to see this. Now, I believe I agree with you also with Atlanta. I thought we would win maybe in 5 games. I thought Atlanta would win 1. Because the other night I was texting a friend, and she's like, "Well, no, it's going to go to overtime. We're going to lose." It was going back and forth. We won, but they come a long way. They come a long way with Coach Blatt. He was getting all that rap from the beginning, and for some alternate reason, I had a good feeling about him last year. I mean, he brought championship to EuroLeague, the teams that he was on, Tel Aviv and all that. So I'm proud.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about David Blatt here in a little bit. I agree with you on that. And I'll tell you what, of the 3 opponents that the Cavaliers played in the playoffs, the Atlanta Hawks were the easiest of the 3 rounds that the Cavaliers played. To me, the true finals was what we all talked about before the playoffs started. That was Chicago and the Cavs. That was your Eastern Conference Finals right there. Washington would have been a much, much tougher. The Cavs still would have won, but Washington may have even won a game from the Cavs there instead of the Hawks. The Celtics was a way tougher out for the Cavs, even though neither series was really competitive, because they had more heart. Brad Stevens had those Celtics teams fighting the Cavs harder in the first round than the Hawks fought, except for bringing that Game 3 effort, which was kind of that last ditch. You know, we had to try to salvage our season, and then they got broken there. But I mean, the Celtics put up a bigger fight than the Hawks did for the most part, and physically too. They end up taking out Love and getting all nasty at the end. They put a physical fight in too. Just they had more. I don't know. I thought the least competitive series the Cavs were in was the Eastern Conference Finals.
I think so too. In the beginning, I thought maybe it would be Chicago and them in the end, but Chicago was very tough. I got to give them a lot of credit. My second favorite team, but give them a lot of credit. And the Cavaliers, Eastern Conference Finals. What was it? 2009 was the last time 2009 is when they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last, wasn't it?
Yeah,
against Orlando?
2007 was the last time they were in the NBA Finals.
No, it's the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, I know something.
All right, Betty.
Yeah,
Anything else?
I'm proud of them, and good job, guys.
All right, thanks for the call.
All right, thank you.
You got it. All right, guys, again, talking about the Cavaliers and several things that we haven't even touched on here that she came out of that. I mean, David Blatt, again, I go back to that. Here you got 2 coaches that are both in very unique situations here when you look at rookie coaches that led their team. Now David Blatt to the NBA Finals. Steve Kerr still left to be determined if he's going to finish the job with the Warriors. I mean, history says so, but until they get that fourth victory, I mean, the Rockets did win 3 straight against the Clippers, even though I don't believe they're going to. But anyways, look at the difference. I mean, to me, Steve Kerr took a team that was, much closer to a finished product. I mean, and obviously, to me, the credit, we've talked about it all season long, that has not been given to David Blatt for adjusting on the fly, the way this team was completely retooled, and for working around the landmines that were placed in front of him daily by the media with all the different situations. I mean, it was definitely, even last night, you guys, the national media trying to make a different narrative out of what I thought was, and actually what I thought was a moment that was not made for the cameras and for all of that. And I could see when it was brought up to David Blatt after the game, you saw the look on his face of uncomfortableness, because it wasn't something, it was done out of genuineness, not out of looking for a camera to pick this up and record it. But when he pulled LeBron aside before the game and just had a few words with him about, being appreciative of what he did coming back to Cleveland and all of that stuff. And it's a very classy little moment. And LeBron, it was pre-game. LeBron still, I believe it was, or maybe it was during the game. Regardless, still in the focus, still in the battle. LeBron, gave a word of appreciation and a little handshake, and that was it. And the media tries to play it up now as if it was awkward moment, and LeBron blew it off. And number one, to me, what was awkward about it was, I don't believe it was meant to be captured, period. And like I said, if you look at David Blatt after the game, he appeared uncomfortable when it was referenced during the postgame, because that wasn't one of those so many people do things for the cameras, and they're always performing for the audience and for the media. And David Blatt is not like that. I think that he doesn't like that aspect of things, because I believe there's certain words and certain conversations that are meant to be, like, I always love when the media says, hey, what did you whisper to so-and-so after the game? Those if they wanted you to know, they would have just said it in the press conference. Some things are meant to be left unspoken or left between private individuals, and I thought that was really one of those moments. But I thought that was a classy thing there too. That was not something, again, done for media cameras or attention. Hey, look, I'm putting LeBron over. It was nothing like that. I thought it was another moment of adding a layer to a relationship between a coach and a player. I thought it was pretty cool. But anyways, we'll talk some more about that. I want to talk back to you guys. Going to the phones. Caller, you're up on the Fix.
J-Rocc Daddy, we are championship bound, brother.
LG, baby, absolutely. Cavaliers taking care of some business last night.
Unbelievable, J-Rocc Daddy. I knew it was going to be a good game. I didn't think the Cavs would blow them out by 30 points. I thought the Hawks were going to offer a bit more of a fight. But when you got a team and you're surrounded by greatness like each and every player on this Cleveland Cavaliers team, I mean, these guys continue to come off the bench. Even the backup guys, J-Rocc Daddy, they come off the bench and they contribute to winning this basketball game last night. And that's when LeBron, and the rest of the guys were cheerleaders on the sideline, man. It was a
let me tell you. I had as much fun.
Fit for a king, J-Rocc Daddy.
Going past the obvious blowout part of it, you just brought up the end of the game. We had more fun watching the last 5 minutes, because we're like, there's a Perkins is in there, and Haywood's playing in the game. And we were joking. I kept saying Perkins was the black hole, man. If the ball went into Perkins, it wasn't coming back out. He was taking that hook shot every chance he got. He said, look, man, I'm getting my shots in here. But it was great. Joe Harris is stroking 3-pointers. Mike Miller's out there hitting shots. I mean, we were having as much fun as the Cavaliers bench was watching the third string guys out there get a few minutes of play into that thing.
That's what I'm saying, brother. I'm saying it's just unbelievable how these guys. You know what, J-Rocc Daddy? Let's face it. It's hard to soar like eagles when you're surrounded by buzzards. But I'm telling you, 1 through 15, all these guys on this Cleveland Cavaliers team have something to contribute to the game, man. These guys aren't in there because they're taking up a roster spots. thank God we had the depth that we had throughout the playoffs, especially losing Love. Tristan Thompson steps up huge. J.R. Smith steps up huge. Shumpner steps up huge. So you can't say enough. James Jones scores some points last night. I mean, like you said, Perkins throwing up the hook.
I'm just saying, man, that it's a total
around
team.
the rim and go in. It was kind of cute, man. 18 points for Smith last night. I mean, this team is surrounded by talent, and I got to tell you, J-Rocc Daddy, I don't think anybody could beat them in 7-game series, man. I know I sound like a broken record right now, but I tell you, this team is going to give either the Golden State Warriors, probability is going to be them, or the Houston Rockets, which is a long shot. They're going to have a very difficult time against this Cavaliers defense, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Let me jump in. You mentioned 18 points from J.R. Smith. To me, that's to be expected. You know what pops out? 10 rebounds in back-to-back games for J.R. Smith. The Cavaliers took the heart out of the chest of the Atlanta Hawks in this series on the boards. 56 rebounds last night, 39 for Atlanta. Tristan, another 16 and 11. Another one for Smith. Again, as I say, that's your off guard coming off the bench, giving you 10 big boards off the bench, replacing the boards that Tristan moved from the bench to the starting lineup. I mean, when you're out rebounding teams, when you're grabbing 13 offensive rebounds, 43 defensive rebounds, that is 43 times that the other team got one shot and that's it. You took it away from them. That's why I'm so confident that I say the Cavaliers can beat the Golden State Warriors in 5 games, brother. I believe that at the end of the day, Golden State better shoot the lights out because they're getting one shot. I know they've got Green. They've got a couple of guys down there that'll hit those boards, but they don't have guys to hit the boards like the Cavaliers do. This team rebounds as a team. Look at the rebounding. Shumpert had 8 boards. LeBron had 9. Mozgov had 7. Tristan had 11. Kyrie had 4. JR had 10. Everybody on the bench had a couple of rebounds.
Don't forget about the new record of assists for Kyrie last night with 5, J-Rocc Daddy.
I'm just saying.
Who says he don't pass the basketball, Bruce?
When everybody on your team is rebounding, and another number that'll stick out, 7 blocked shots for the Cavaliers last night. Kyrie, Shump, LeBron, Mozgov, and Thompson had 2 apiece.
No. Mozgov had 3.
Oh, yep, Mozgov had 3. No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So that alone, and big ones too. I mean, just grabbing the heart away from the other team, as we saw out there, and that is the recipe for why this team is going to finish the job. But do you agree with what I said earlier?
I got to tell you one thing, J-Rocc Daddy.
Well, let me just ask you real quick before you go there. In Cavs history, do you agree with me? No matter what happens in the next round, by far, this is the best team to ever wear the wine and gold.
Well, I got to tell you, J-Rocc Daddy, I'm a bit older than you are, and I remember the Miracle in Richfield and all that sort of thing. But, yeah, you got it, man. This is the best Cavaliers team that I've ever seen from start to finish. No doubt about it, man, because these guys have the depth. You got guys that can step up. Now, back in the Miracle Richfield, you had your stars on the team, you know, Bingo Smith, you had all them guys. They were a good team. They played well together and all that sort of thing. But the depth that this Cavaliers team has, and it's like, you know, you talk about the next man up theory, and these guys have demonstrated. And here's where I was going. Now that you bring that up, as far as, is this the best team I've ever seen in a Cavs uniform? Yeah, I have to say hell yeah. But where I was going earlier was this team hasn't even stopped gelling together yet, J-Rocc.
I know.
They're still feeling themselves out. They're still growing as a team. Don't forget, this is the first season these guys have played together. We got guys that came in and Shumpert and J.R. Smith and Mozgov. They weren't even here for the entire year, man.
Brother,
this
you
team
just said 2 things.
hasn't even stopped gelling together yet.
Yep, you just said 2 key things. Number 1 is literally game to game. This team is still getting better from one game to the next this season. And the back half of what you said, and it was on my list of things here to talk about, this is the year where they're figuring it out. Remember, this is the year where, well, they may not win it all the first year, but they'll get on the right track and they'll figure out the pieces. I'm pretty sure that we've figured out most of the pieces, and no matter what happens in the next 2 weeks, this is just the beginning of what this team's going to do for the next few years. Cleveland,
this could easily turn into a Lakers-type dynasty team, J-Rocc.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to put the horse before the cart, the cart before the horse, I should say. But, you got a guy like Kobe wins 5 championships. LeBron comes home back to Cleveland. He's clearly the leader on this team. And talk about gelling together as a team. I mean, this Tristan Thompson is elevated to greatness that I never even imagined was possible. I knew the guy was a good, solid player, J-Rocc. I always loved Tristan's defensive skills. The way this guy goes up after the rebound, he's like a mad dog in the meat market, man. And, they mentioned during the game.
Oh, tell me you didn't just throw out a Mike
I'm
Junkin.
sorry I had to do it. I mean, this is the real deal. This is the real deal, not the false stuff that we've seen in the past.
Oh, man.
I mean, look at that guy. He's actually growling when he goes up there and grabs that basketball, J-Rocc, Daddy. He's throwing them elbows in both directions. If anybody gets near him, they're going to be paying severely for trying to get that ball away from Tristan Thompson, man.
I'm just saying,
I mean, they even mentioned during the game last night he was watching film of Dennis Rodman going up after rebounds to get psyched up for last night's game.
I'm telling you, man. Kevin Love, there's a spot for you on this team if you want to take a pay cut and come off the bench, because Tristan's not going back to the bench after this, man. He has taken it to the level that I'm telling you. LG, you've been with me for years, man. You know that I have been a Tristan defender. When everybody's saying, they passed on this guy, they passed on that guy, I understand that. But
Tristan has been a solid basketball player since they brought him in with Kyrie. There's no doubts about it, and I liked that draft.
For everybody that talks crap about Anderson Varejao, I've said this from day one. If you like what you see out of Tristan Thompson, it's because he learned it from Anderson Varejao when he was coming up in the NBA. He learned all that stuff that Varejao does, and all the hustle and the rebounding and the extra effort, and took it to a level that he's even more athletic than than Varejao. He's taken it to another level. But I believe that he is as good as he has been and he is becoming because he learned and played alongside Varejao from the get-go.
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt about it, J-Rocc. You talk about a wild man on the court was Anderson Varejao. The only detriment in Varejao's case is his body. Unfortunately, Anderson has spent more time within injuries in the last few years, man. And I hate to say this, J-Rocc, Daddy, but I'm very concerned if there's room on this Cavaliers roster for Anderson Varejao when he comes back, even if he can come back. On Achilles, he's been out for a long time. I mean, it's always something. We've seen this with professional athletes in the past. They're great players. They give the effort 120%, but they somehow can't. Their bodies just don't let them keep doing what they're supposed to be doing.
I hear you, but Varejao's not going anywhere. I hear you, but he's not going anywhere. As long as LeBron James is here, he's not going anywhere, man.
Well, that could be, J-Rocc, Daddy, but it is a business, and you have to look at it as it's a business, and the emotional attachments that are between LeBron James and Anderson Varejao. I mean, I could see him giving Varejao a big chance to come back and compete.
They just re-signed him last year, so it's not just because of LeBron.
J-Rocc, Daddy, but we've made mistakes signing players to long-term deals in the past.
They're not looking at it like that. Come on, hey, hold on now. 6 months ago, Anderson Varejao, before he got hurt, was the most consistent player on the Cavs team at the time that he got hurt. But
6 months
anyways,
ago, J-Rocc, this was a completely different Cleveland Cavaliers basketball team.
Stop it. Rewind it. Come on, man. We're going to the NBA Finals. I don't care about that,
I love
man.
the
There's
guy,
a spot on
Don't
this
get
team.
me wrong. I'm one of the biggest Varejao fans that there is in the world. I have always loved the Wild Thing, man.
There is a spot on this team for Anderson Varejao. Trust me. There is most definitely a spot.
I certainly hope so, J-Rocc. But, man,
team.
Let's not put the cart before the horse even talking on stuff like that. We got to look forward to the finals. 4 games coming up. 2 games going to be out there either in Houston, which I doubt, or or I don't expect the Cavs to go out to the Golden State Warriors home court and lose the first game. I really expected that they might have a tougher time in Atlanta than they had, but this time around, man, as I said earlier in this conversation, this team is they're continuing to gel together, J-Rocc. It's like the oil in the water is mixing, and it's going to be completely 100% soluble by the time this team gets done with these finals, man. And I still don't think there's a team that can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the best-of-7 series. I just don't see it happening, J-Rocc, Daddy.
I agree, LG. That's a great way to put it and a great way to wrap it up, my man. I got to hit the break, but, man, here we go.
All right, J-Rocc, Daddy, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long drought in the city of Cleveland. I'm 55, going to be 56 years old pretty soon. It's been 51 years since we've had any kind of a professional championship. I'm talking basketball, football. I'm not talking soccer or anything. But what I'm saying is, I didn't know if I'd see it again in my lifetime, and I'm telling you, I'm legitimately excited, J-Rocc, Daddy. I think it's coming, and I think it's coming in the next couple of weeks, baby. We're going to be NBA championship ring bearers, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Go Cavs, and I'll see you, J-Rocc. Keep up the good work.
You got it. My man LG is exactly right. The parade, as AC would say, it's coming down Euclid real soon, man. And that'll start on June 4th, baby, a week from tomorrow. Let's take a break, get you some news, and get Dan Wismar in on the celebration and the conversation. And we'll talk some more Cavaliers hoops as they advance to the NBA Finals for only the second time in franchise history. Hell, in my lifetime, this will be only the fourth time that any Cleveland team has been in the position to be a champion as far as the final round, final game, whatever. I mean, there's 95 and 97 with the Tribe, 07, and now with the Cavaliers. Let's pick up the conversation after the news with my man Dan Wismar from EverybodyHatesCleveland.com coming up next here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
what you talking about, Lou? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou?
We'll be right back.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Hey, this is Scott Fujita, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD, the excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials. Fight fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens. And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger. Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious. What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish! Dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Signs and Ship, the official printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. Find out more at signsandship.com.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. There are investigations on both sides of the Atlantic. 9 FIFA officials and 5 sports marketing executives were indicted this morning. The announcement made in Brooklyn. The charges racketeering and corruption involving World Cup bids and rights fees. And prosecutors in Switzerland have begun criminal proceedings related to the awarding of the 2018 and 2022 World Cups to Russia and Qatar. They're now 12-2 in the NBA playoffs. Cavaliers completed a 4-game sweep with the Hawks last night with a 118-88 rout in Cleveland in the Eastern Finals. Tristan Thompson with 16 points and 11 rebounds.
If you're asking, do you think we were going to be here? It's too far down the line. You know, I approach it day by day, that just to get better every day and put myself in position to help this team, you know, be successful.
The Warriors can advance to the finals for the first time since 1975 if they beat the Rockets tonight. Game 5 Western Finals, 9 Eastern on ESPN TV, 8 o'clock on ESPN Radio. Golden State leads at 3-1. The line of Rick Nash, Derek Brassard, and J.T. Miller combined for 5 goals and 8 assists. Last night, the Rangers' 7-3 win in Tampa. New York evens the Stanley Cup Eastern Finals at 3 games each.
For over 60 years, Ferguson has been the name that pro contractors count on for plumbing, HVAC, waterworks, and more. They have the right products and the right people right around the corner. Put them to work for you at Ferguson.com.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen. Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen with your fast break action.
I love that song. Welcome back to the Sports Fix. J-Rocc back with you here, rolling on across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Dan Wismar, my man, getting ready to join us from the Cleveland Fan and Everybody Hates Cleveland and continue the conversation. We got a one-track mind today. It's a single-focused edition of the Sports Fix. We're talking Cavaliers hoops as they have completed the long part of the journey here, becoming Eastern Conference champions, something they've only done once before in 2007, and they sit 4 victories away. And I remind you, 4 victories that are coming in the next 2 weeks from being the next NBA champions. We're going to talk about it with Dan. You guys can keep talking to us here on social media, Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix, Twitter at The Sports Fix, CLE. You guys can email me anytime, day or night, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. We're talking Cavs hoops with you guys and my man Dan Wismar from EverybodyHatesCleveland.com on the hotline now. Dan, how you feeling today, brother?
It's a great day, J-Rocc. I got to give you some props here. You were the optimist after you saw one game. The first game 1 with Atlanta wasn't even over, and you were texting me saying maybe they won't sweep them, but it's going 5. Okay, so So I got to give you that. You were on top of it then, and so you got some credibility with your prediction of a final that's only going to go 5 games. I don't know if I'd go that far, but from your lips to God's ears, brother. I mean, the only thing I'm wondering this morning is, who's going to play LeBron in the movie? Because,
I'm telling you,
it couldn't get much more drama filled and drama rich than it's been. The story, there's so many storylines, and it just was a great night because you could tell right away. First of all, how about LeBron coming out last night after, when we last saw LeBron, he was on all fours on the floor, holding his head in sheer exhaustion, after the overtime. And then he comes back out last night, and the guy's got a spring in his step, and he's obviously just pumped to the max to do it in front of the home crowd. And I just, I was struck right away by, oh my God, this isn't a guy that just practically had to limp off the court, 48 hours ago, because he looked like he was so pumped and immediately started getting everybody else involved. And it hit his first few shots. They were determined not to let this game be even close. Take it away right out of the gate, and that's exactly what they did. So it was so satisfying to watch him just make it a no contest. And really, I thought, and most people thought, playing their best ball of the playoffs last night.
Oh, yeah. Within 5 minutes, you knew that it was not only over, but it was going to be no contest. I'm telling you, man. I mean, the people I was watching it with were cracking up because they found themselves doing exactly what I said. I said it during the first quarter. I said, I'm telling you guys, you'll know the game's over by the end of the first quarter. They'll have a double-digit lead. By halftime, you'll be talking about who they play in the finals. About halfway through the second half, you'll be like, man, is this game still going on? Because it's going to be one of those games, and that's really the way it played out. I mean, there wasn't a chance in the world. I felt Atlanta threw every ounce of whatever they had into Game 3. They gave the Cavs every bit of fight that they had. That was the backbreaker for them, trying to make up for what they lost at home. But I mean, they didn't have a chance in this series, and it has nothing to do with missing open shots. Has nothing to do with guys getting hurt or anything. They just didn't match up to the Cavaliers, and they were outclassed in every way, including I can't think of one 50-50 ball in the 4-game series that Atlanta got to over the Cavaliers. They didn't out-hustle them for one rebound for anything, and the Cavs took their heart away every single night.
Yeah, you're right, and it's been a week since you and I talked, and so that means we haven't really had a chance to talk about, Dirty Delly, the villain of the NBA, and all the various narratives that have been going around, which has just been ridiculous. And I thought the other day that I was taking crazy pills when I watched both the shot that Dwight Howard didn't get ejected for and the shot that Al Horford put on Delly. And I thought maybe I was the only guy in the sports world that looked at both of them, trying to be objective about it, and thought that the Horford shot on Delly was far more premeditated and vicious than the hand to the face that Dwight Howard put on whoever that was, in the Rockets game. So, and then last night, Charles Barkley's telling me that I'm a fool because anybody that can't see that the shot Dwight Howard put on was much, much worse than the shot Al Horford, put on Delly was a fool. So I must be a fool because I'm the only one that wasn't able to see that. But anyway, just going back to the various narratives, This season, and I thought LeBron put it well last night when he was talking about, how many chapters there's been in this story so far. The chapter that had them struggling in, early on, and the media had David Blatt getting fired, and when is LeBron going to fire David Blatt? That kind of story, chapter 1, you might call that. But I thought McMenamin, the ESPN writer for the Cavs, had a good way of looking at it, and in terms of saying, look, if none of these things would have happened had it not been for the adversity. And I got to tell you, the overcoming adversity thing may be the most overused cliche in all sports. So many times it's related nothing more than just players overcoming their own selfish substance abuses or whatever else they're into. injuries are a different thing, and if there's an overriding story to this season, and forget about the poor Bulls and their injuries and the poor Hawks and their injuries. I couldn't believe it. We were supposed to be feeling sorry for these teams who were struggling with such injury problems. And, you look at the Cavs and who's had more? No one's had more than the Cavs had. So, but if you look at how it all progressed, and McMenamin said this, I'm not, this is not original thinking, but, Varejao doesn't get hurt around Christmas time. Maybe the trade for Mozgov and Shump and J.R. Smith don't even happen. If Kevin Love doesn't get hurt in the Boston series, Tristan Thompson, maybe we don't see the emergence that we've seen from him. If Kyrie isn't struggling with injuries, maybe the Delhi story never gets told. And those things, if you look at them that way, how each time something negative happened, someone else, stepped up. And again, talk about stepping up, another one of those cliches that's beat to death. But that's what happened with Tristan, with Delhi. And also with the three imports mid-season with Mozgov, Shump, and J.R. Smith. So those guys are all contributing, all double figures last night, and really they played with some of their best team ball of the year. But I thought that whole narrative of we wouldn't have told those stories of the New York Knicks guys and Thompson and Delhi had it not been for the grief that this team's been going through.
Absolutely, and I read that piece too. That is all what plays into this team, the evolving narrative of the team, how everything continues to change and evolve, and they go with it. And it's not. I know this sounds ridiculous because at the center of it all is a great individual player in LeBron James, but it's the way everything comes together around it and fits with all the stuff that he does that makes this special. I mean, really, that's to me, and it's hard for me to say that because it's easy for somebody to shoot back with LeBron James. I get that, and I understand that none of this stuff happens without him, but it doesn't necessarily happen with him either, as we've seen before. So it's not like it's just add LeBron, sprinkle water, and watch it grow, because that is not what we're seeing here. It's the way it's all come together. They all believe in each other. I'm just going to say this. I know that it's a lot easier to win with LeBron than it is without him. But if he was to go down tomorrow, this team would at least believe that they have a chance to go out there because they believe in each other more than they just believe in, hey, let's just follow behind LeBron. But he is the straw that stirs it all. And obviously, when everybody else needs a boost, that's the guy you go to. But does what I'm saying make sense? It's the whole it's the whole of it all.
Oh yeah, you're right, and you see the chemistry. I've said this before. I go back, and just because I'm kind of focused on Ohio State Buckeyes, there's definitely some parallels that you see in terms of the chemistry of a team coming together over a stretch. You have some adversity. You've got a serious injury to keep players and other guys jump into the spotlight and perform. And, you can definitely see the parallel there. And, if they both end in the championship, that'd be fabulous. We've had a half century without it. And, any city can have a bad streak of luck. So definitely some parallels there between the 2014 Buckeyes and this group, just in terms of injuries and never been able to tell the story of a Delhi or a Thompson or a Cardale Jones or a J.T. Barrett. Without the team having some injury issues. So,
you know what? Let me ask you something, Dan. Think about the 2007 Cavaliers team that made the finals. They were the opposite of what I just said to me, and I'm not slighting anybody, but look at that team, and to me, that team could be, and many of those teams of LeBron's first run in Cleveland could be described as throw some guys around LeBron and see how far LeBron can lead them for the most part. But look at that team. What stories besides LeBron James' first trip to the NBA Finals, Cavaliers' first franchise trip to the Finals. The hometown guy took him there. All of those storylines are all around LeBron and his singular thing there. But what else did you have, like, with that Cavaliers team? Like, we're talking about the emergence of Delly, of Tristan Thompson, of J.R. Smith and Shumpert. Everybody's individual emergence. Heading into the 2007 Finals against the Spurs, who else besides LeBron were we talking about? And it's hard to think back that far now. Who else were we talking about their emergence in these playoffs? Or I can't think of one, to be totally honest.
Not really. And I was just sort of reminded last night when I saw the emotional interview with Anderson Varejao in the locker room afterwards, where he was, number one, promising to be back, making sure everybody knew how excited he was and how happy he was for his teammates. And just he was really getting choked up about it. Remembering him in 2007,
Yes.
he was one of the few guys that was a spark for the team. But you're right, LeBron was literally carrying the team on his back. And you go back to that Pistons series where he scored the 45 or whatever it was in that one great game where he was loading up everybody on his shoulders and carrying them single-handedly. He's learned how not to do that now. Certainly, he's a more mature player. He's a better leader. He's more of a coach on the floor. Went away, learned how to win, came back, and whether it's guilt and I don't know, forgiveness is hard to come up with for that Celtics series in 2009, but. All's forgiven now, LeBron. I mean, come on, he's back. He's doing it right.
You know what?
And he's leading them.
Right with what you just said. I don't know if you caught me right off the beginning of the show, but I want to go back to how I started in the opening segment before I hit the phones, which is okay. And let's not just talk about the number of wins or making the playoffs or if you win a championship, and because that's what so many do. And I'm not that guy. Oh well, we won a championship, so all is forgiven. I mean, it's funny to joke about that, and as I've talked about how throughout the season, little by little, the letter. Okay, to me that was cool. Some people, hey, LeBron's coming home, I forgive everything. I was, hey man, you got to work a little bit harder than that. And winning some basketball games didn't do it for me. We talked along the way about his maturity, and I'm like, okay, I'm really liking some of these new things that we're seeing. He really has grown. But I said it wasn't winning yesterday. It wasn't anything about winning the Eastern Conference. Game 3, at the end of that game, and I was talking to everybody last night when I was watching this, and then I repeated it at the beginning of today's show. At the end of that, not just that they won that game, but the effort to the point of exhaustion that was given. When LeBron hit the floor at the end of that game, whatever as far as the leftover hostility or you've still got to prove something to me went away. Not because of winning a championship, because at that point you can't deny the effort that was given. I said it. I said if every player on every team in your sport, in your city, whatever, gave that effort, or if every team played like these Cavs teams are playing, you would never care if they won or lost at the end of the year because you'd enjoy every season because they would be doing it the right way. But at that point, when he hit the ground, I said, man, I'm good for that whole going on TV thing because that was physically taxing of yourself to the point that's what a champion does. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're so right. And
that's earning it. But that's not just giving it to the guy. So many people just gave it to the guy because he came home. That is earning it with what you did to where a guy like me says, you know what? We are good. Let's move forward. We're good.
Yeah, I agree with you. When any other player might have taken himself off the floor, you've got leg cramps, you're hobbling, you're limping. You call for yourself to be taken off the floor, and then you say, no, forget it. Not coming out.
Right.
Can't do it.
That's
got some
drama.
more. And it sounds very arrogant to say, and he said it afterwards in so many words. I knew my team couldn't win without me. And that's what he said, and he was very probably right because the Hawks had a little bit of gumption left in them in Game 3, and obviously he had to to win the game with a 3-pointer with a few seconds to go. So, the team couldn't have won the game without him. He sucked it up and stayed in, and he really did show everybody something. I mean, I think we know what LeBron is made of as a competitive human being. He's proven that many times over, but I think what he really showed you there is I don't have any more left, so I'm going to give it up anyway. I'm going to summon something from somewhere and win this game for my team. And then last night, the determination to just take it from the get-go, and the spring in his step, which I could hardly believe, because there have been times in these playoffs, and Game 3 was one of them, when LeBron just looked tired. He's short on the jumper, he's front rim on the jumper so often, and not necessarily shooting well. This is his first 10 shots. He looked tired in Game 3. Well, last night he looks like a new guy. Looks like he went and took Superman pills, and came out and bounced in his step and took it to him right from the get-go. That was so striking to me when I saw how he was looking physically in the first quarter, that it was just remarkable.
No, I totally am with you there, man. Especially, like I said, they came out. He was one, but they all just had that spring. I mean, to be that exhausted and to bounce in the passing lane so early, they just had that killer instinct to where you knew that they weren't just finishing this thing, but they were finishing it early. LeBron wanted to sit down in the fourth quarter and relax and watch this thing, and that's what they were going to do, and that's what they went out there and did, man. And
the other thing, Jerry, that really struck me too was how Kyrie came in and how Kyrie gave the team such a lift
right off the bat
with seven or nine early points. Hit his first couple shots, looked good doing it. Held my breath when they knocked him to the floor that one time on the penetration. And then I couldn't wait when they had a 22-point lead in the third quarter to just get him the heck out of there. Get him out. Finally, when Thompson put that one alley-oop down and it was late third, maybe 3 minutes to go, and then they're up 20, 22 points, I said, get Kyrie off the floor now before something terrible happens. And he ended up starting the fourth quarter, but I think they sat it down at the quarter mark with LeBron and some of the other guys, and I was glad to see that. But I thought he gave the team a big lift early, and you got him some playing time. He came through, he competed, scored, hit a three, penetrated, hit a couple of those running floaters, and lifted the team. And then on came Delly, and of course Delly's now a rock star in this town.
All right, I'm going to jump in there on a couple of things you said, because I'm telling you, finishing off, piggybacking what I said right into yours with the way LeBron finished Game 3 and the effort that he gave. I'm going to tell you this now, and we'll recall saying this a year or two from now. You'll go, wow, I remember you saying that then. That wasn't just a key moment in that Hawks series, and that wasn't just a key moment in LeBron or any of that. In this Cavaliers, what they're going to do for the next few years, that was a key moment, because from that game forward, every player, and this is not hype. I've lived in a locker room my whole life. I know the mentality. When you see that from the guys you look up to, from the people that you truly count as a leader, when you see that by example, you find another level that you can personally give, because you now know that you watched the guy that you consider the best, your leader, your mentor, whatever, you watched him do it. In years to come, this Cavs team will, in their heads, recall watching how that happened, and they'll find another level. And I'll point to what you just said about Kyrie Irving, not just the points that he scored and the assists that he had and the way that he started the game. The Cavaliers knew they could have won that game without Kyrie Irving yesterday. The Cavaliers could have won that game without LeBron and Kyrie yesterday, the way the Hawks didn't show up. But my point is not that. My point is what Kyrie said, I don't know if you heard it, after the game about why he played. Not just because his team needed him, he mentioned that, but he knew what that celebration, what that accomplishment was going to be like. And he didn't want to just be a part of it in street clothes. He wanted to play, contribute, to be able to truly enjoy contributing to that moment and that celebration in that locker room. And that's an accountability that he learned this season from what this Cavs team has gone through and all of these players. And I'm telling you, this stuff is not just going to lead to whatever happens now, but this stuff will be recalled in years to come. This Cavs team is just beginning.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's important to, take the long view of it. I think they're going to win just because I think it's too great a story for them. Not to win. And I'm a couple of weeks ago, I'm going, wow. I'm watching the Warriors play. I'm thinking, Cavs get to the finals and they lose to this Warriors team. Nope. That was when the Cavs were, limping around on, 7 legs out of 10 or whatever. And it looked like they physically were just going to break down and not be able to make it. A week off, obviously, is just what the doctor ordered for him. You just kind of even hope that Houston can win one more game, or maybe even, win one more game to get to go home again. So who knows what could happen. But I did think a week or so ago that the Cavs would, certainly they'll still probably be the underdog to the Warriors because people, the Warriors, and they are very deep. But there's nobody on that Warriors team that scares me. There's nobody on that Warriors team that I don't think Shumpert and LeBron and J.R. Smith and these guys can play defense against, can't play defense against. In other words, they're a deep team. They probably go 7 deep that are stronger than our first 7. But we got LeBron, they don't. And that really is, I think, what it's going to come down to, because he is on a mission. And that's very clear. It was never more clear than last night that LeBron is on a mission and will not be denied.
Yep, and more than just the individual aspect. As a team, the Cavaliers are the best defensive team in this playoffs. They have decimated the strengths of every team that they play. That is what this team does, is they take away your number one everything. And then if you can beat them with your number 2 game plan or whatever, they live with it. But they take away what you want to do. I believe the Cavs win as easily against either Western Conference team, and more Golden State. I honestly believe Houston is a tougher series than Golden State for this reason. The Cavaliers will do what I just said, what they've done to every other team. They will take away game plan number 1 from the Golden State Warriors, and I don't believe anything else other than game plan number 1 that the Golden State Warriors can do will have a chance to beat the Cavaliers. I don't believe they can regroup and say, okay, now we're going to pound the ball down low. We're getting run off the perimeter. We're going to do this. They don't have, to me, another game plan outside of Splash City. And if you run those guys off, if the Cavaliers take that away, Golden State does not have a plan B to even hang with this team.
I think you're right, they've been, they also are improving. I think as they go through the playoffs, they played maybe one of their better games in Game 3. They slacked off a little bit in Game 4 and obviously got beat. But Draymond Green playing better. Harrison Barnes just coming into his own. They've got some great young players besides their 2 guards. That's why they're probably deeper, as a unit. But I don't know. Like you say, they don't have a plan B. The Cavs can go down low, and the Cavs have been able to show that with Mozgov and Thompson on the block that they're fine if you want to play that banging game inside. I don't think the Warriors are going to hang with them there.
No, but the one matchup that will be fun, you mentioned Green. He's got 10 double-doubles so far in the postseason, and I saw a thing that said actually he's 3 away from the franchise record. The only people with more than Draymond Green in franchise history for them is Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurmond. That's good company to have yourself in there. But he's a double-double machine. Him and Tristan Thompson will be an amazing individual matchup to watch, as those 2 guys are very similar in the style of play, the way they go after boards and attack the rebounds. That's one thing to look forward to, but I don't know, man. I got to tell you, I do believe the Warriors are going to pull off, but it'll be interesting to see if they can finish this thing up tonight or if they monkey around, because at what point do the Indians start blowing out the Rangers? I just watched my score jump up to 5-0 here in the bottom of the 3rd. Apparently the Indians are now blowing things open against the Texas Rangers. But at what point if you win again tonight, if you're Houston, that's got to start, the last series has to start creeping into everybody's mind and start working there. I've got the numbers, and I said them yesterday. There was 116 teams in NBA history that have been down 3-0 in a 7-game series. 64 of them lost 52 of them lost right off the bat. They just got swept 4-0 like the Hawks did last night. Of the remaining 64, 48 won Game 4 and saved themselves as Houston did and made it a 3-1 series. After that, only 13 teams have won Game 5 to make it a 3-2 series, and only 3 teams in NBA history have won then Game 6 to even take it to a Game 7, which obviously nobody's come back from an 0-3 before. But so far, Houston did the first step, but you wonder if they do it here and they win this one, at what point does it start to weigh heavy on Golden State? Man, are these guys about to do it again?
Yeah, that's true. You hope that maybe Houston can get in their head. I'm not so sure that I would want Houston to win the series. I just want them to drag it out a little bit longer.
No.
Like you said, Houston may be a tougher matchup for the Cavs than the Warriors would be. So, but yeah, I'd sure like to see them win and cause the Warriors some grief and tire them out and extend this series, and that can only help the Cavs.
Absolutely. By the way, if the Warriors do win tonight, I said this the other day, but I wasn't sure. Just saw a blurb. It will officially be it would be the longest gap in NBA history for the start. Because I said if it ended at this point, you're looking at a 9-day buildup if it ends tonight. 8 days if it ends tonight. It was 10 yesterday, so yeah, it would be 8 days starting tomorrow. Build up. It would be Super Bowl level build up for the NBA Finals if it was to be the Warriors and the Cavs with that over a week, and that is the record. It would be the longest break. The longest previous was 6 days before the finals. So
yeah, and I'm not sure what plays into that, Jerry. Actually, I heard the other day that they were going to start this series on Thursday the 4th, no matter what happened.
Yes.
And neither series, obviously there's all kinds of logistics involved to arrange for the thing and venues, et cetera. But it does seem like an awful long break. It seems fortuitous for the Cavs because they're the ones that are trying to rehab some people. But it sure was a lift, I think, to the fans, at least to me, and to the team to see Kyrie come in, play, and exit. And it was apparent that he was 100%. But the fact that he was in there and making shots, he wasn't intimidated about taking it to the rim. Got knocked flat on his face one time and then picked himself back up. So that was all just very encouraging to think that he can contribute for him, because I do think they'll need him. Now, the one thing that was a little bit distressing was trying to watch Delly guard Jeff Teague last night. It just wasn't happening. Teague was pretty much schooling him and blowing by him whenever he wanted to. They finally, late in the game, put Shumpert on Teague and slowed him down a little bit. But you need Kyrie to guard Steph Curry.
Oh, no doubt about that. And I think that as we saw, you you already saw a bit of a bounce back in Kyrie, and he wasn't just out there ineffective as he was previously when you saw him out there.
Right.
He had to, come out. So that's a good sign to me that already, though almost a week off that he's had here between games 2 and 3 heading into 4, did some good, and that this other week plus here will only do a little bit better. You've at least got to hope that, especially because so much of what was wrong with Kyrie was a matter of overusage after the initial injury. So hopefully that is the case. But I'm encouraged. I would feel more cautious if he had been limited yesterday. But like you said, he started hot and didn't fade much. And we don't know how much he would have faded because they didn't have to test it. They didn't have to give full effort in the second half. So I feel better about it, because at first I was wondering if it was going to be a 2 steps forward, 2 steps backwards kind of thing all the way through the rest of the playoffs. Now it does feel like it may reach a point here where he could be nobody's full strength at this point, but at least as healthy as he's been throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. And you notice that when they did have him in the game, they didn't have him guarding Jeff Teague. They gave him a break from exertion on the defensive end, and they switched off and either had Champ or somebody else guarding Teague when Kyrie was in the game. So giving him a little bit of a break there. But yeah, you're right. Hopefully that's about as healthy as we've seen him. Using him in small doses was good to get him some playing time, some action in an important game before the finals, and so you know a little bit about more what you're going to get when game one rolls around.
Here's just a fun. There's no answer right or wrong to this. I'm curious what the first answer off the top of your head would be, because you'd be like, "Wow, that's a hard one." Let's pretend LeBron James doesn't play for the Cavs for just a second here. Who would have been the MVP of that Hawks series if you couldn't pick LeBron James? There's a tough question for you, because I asked a couple people, and right away you're like, JR, well, wait a minute, Ellie, Tristan. It's almost like everybody could win that award if you took LeBron out of the equation.
The first person I thought of was Tristan Thompson, but you're right. There's obviously a couple of other candidates, and there's no clear-cut candidate. But yeah, I guess I'd have to say Thompson. By the way, 6-0 Tribe.
They just
had a two-run double for Chisenhall and a RBI single for Bourne. A couple guys that have been had their pictures on milk cartons.
7-0 Tribe now. Perez just singled off the wall. 7-0 Indians, still rolling with 2 outs in the bases
in the third.
Jerry,
let's talk. One thing we haven't talked about yet is David Blatt.
Yes.
Do you think there's going to be any credit coming this guy's way? I mean,
no. Did you hear what I said earlier about I just happened to catch a little bit of, I can't even remember who it was. It was a national syndicate. I was driving for just a moment earlier this morning, but I already started to hear the narrative being told, and I saw some blogs about this too, about the way people are interpreting his moment, which I personally thought was not meant to be captured on camera.
I agree. I thought Blatt was chagrined when he found out that was recorded, because that was a private moment. Like he thought, I think, I guess he had to know he was mic'd. That doesn't happen surreptitiously, but I think he probably thought that they might have the good judgment not to put that thing on national television.
And how come
when he's trying to share a congratulatory moment with his star player?
Now you tell me. Don't tell me just because I'm saying, hey, do you agree with me? I interpreted LeBron's reaction as, hey, I'm kind of focused here, and hey, I appreciate it. And it wasn't meant to be a, hey, let me give you a big old hug and say, oh, I love you too, man. Like, is that what people were expecting? Because I was shocked at the negative reactions to some people as they go, well, it was kind of an awkward response from LeBron. Like, well, guess what? Maybe that's the first coach that ever said something like, I don't know this. I'm just saying, maybe he was like, all right, I can dig it, and when the time is appropriate, I will acknowledge this. But I didn't see how you could make a bad story out of that.
Yeah, you're right. I think what I saw was LeBron standing there. The two men have their arm around each other. LeBron nods to him, says thanks, acknowledges the compliment and the sentiment, and moves on. He didn't. They didn't have a man hug right there, but they were having a little private moment. At least I thought it was private, and I thought LeBron acknowledged it graciously, and that was it. I didn't see any awkwardness there, other than LeBron's focused on the game, as they both, of course, were. But I thought after the game, I thought Blatt really they gave him a chance. They asked him what it meant to him, and I thought he really showed some emotion there. He talked about, LeBron came home. I left home to come here. Yeah. And he wasn't talking about Boston. He was talking about Israel and where his wife is and where his son is. And I guess I hadn't really been aware until then, or if I had, I'd forgotten about it, that he came here without his family, that his wife did not accompany him to the United States, and then his son, who's, I guess, a basketball player of some promise, was one of the better players back home and chose to stay there, finish school or whatever, and that he's been doing this solo. I guess I wasn't really conscious of the fact that he was doing this without his family, and his family remained in Israel. But he was, he was very emotional about that. He was very, basically now saying, what he did to leave his home and to leave people that he cared about and to come here to do something was, worthwhile, I guess is the word he used.
Yes.
Three-run homer, by the way, for Carlos, 10-0.
10-0 Indians. They're just blowing it up.
Incredible.
An
eight-run third inning.
They should be mad at themselves for giving away the last 2 days the way they did, when they should be in the verge of sweeping Texas instead of coming in the other way around, the way they monkeyed around with this thing. So, yeah, taking out some frustration. But back to what you said about David Blatt, I really agree with all of that. I thought that was powerful stuff. About him leaving his family. It's like, hey, man, maybe now you see why he's got some of the chippiness when you ask him the ridiculous questions that some of the people have asked him and treat him like he's a puppet on a string here. You know, it's like, not only do I have a very long history of doing this, longer than anybody else in this league that you talk to here, just in a different place, but I also packed up without my family across the world, and I've got all of this stuff going on. And I want to go back to the LeBron thing for a second with Coach Blatt, because, and I'm just going to speak really, and again, I think some of this stuff, knowing how dynamics of athletes and locker rooms work, I got an even more, a different way of looking at it. But, you know, a guy like LeBron, a guy in that situation, and I just mean any kind of a superstar in general, you live life always looking for the angle. Like LeBron and his people have their whole no new friends catchphrase, and it just basically means if you weren't here before, don't be here now, because you can never trust somebody. You know, once you're famous, once you're rich, you never know what somebody's reason for being nice to you is. Are they really just being nice to you, or do they have some ulterior motive? And so that's a tough way to live your life, because you can truly never judge why somebody treats you the way they do. Is it because you're LeBron James, or is it because they just happen to be a genuine person? So you've got that aspect in general. How many coaches has LeBron James had in his life? I mean, obviously not a million, but he's had several different ones over the various stages of his career, and you never know. Different teammates. How many different teammates? You know, again, you wonder what do they really want to be my boy, or do they just want to say that they were friends with LeBron, etc. You spend your whole life with that filter. So that's a difficult relationship to start with. But I look back at Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, and I'm a big fan of them and being the greatest, one of the greatest combinations of player-coach in NBA history. And I remember hearing Michael Jordan stress, even though they had already won 3 championships at this point, but that was based on the talent of the teams that they were putting together. But he stressed that when he really, truly just completely bought into Phil Jackson forever was when he decided to go play baseball. And the first person, he went and sat down with Phil Jackson, and he told him what he was doing. And Phil Jackson had an hour-long talk with him and talked to him about the responsibility of his talent and not taking that gift away from people and stuff like that. But at no point did he ever try to tell Michael Jordan not to retire. And he said that was the moment that he realized that Phil Jackson did not have an ulterior motive. It was in his best interest for Michael Jordan not to retire, because it was going to make his job tougher. And instead, he did the opposite. Even when it caused him some chagrin with the front office, he backed Michael Jordan and his decision, never privately tried to change his mind. And Michael Jordan said, that was the moment that I realized that I could trust this guy 100%. So when he came back, he was 100% bought in and all of that. And so think about that. That's 3 championships and probably 4 or 5 seasons into that relationship between a great coach and a great player. And it took that long to reach a point where Michael Jordan said, I finally realized I could trust this guy. And that's 3 championships in.
Yeah, that really is remarkable. Then, of course, he won 3 more. But, to me, it seemed, ever since the start of the season, it seemed like the national media, the media from afar, the lazy media, I'll call them, has been out of touch with the David Blatt, LeBron James, Cleveland Cavaliers scenario. What goes on? I just think they've taken the easy way out, which is to say, oh, LeBron's a coach, you know, David Blatt's his puppet, David Blatt's in over his head, blah, 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 you know. And I don't blame David Blatt for resenting a lot of that. It's not like he came out of a high school program to coach the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been winning championships in professional basketball leagues his whole career, and really had no challenges, no worlds left to conquer. in international ball, in Olympic ball, and in the European League, whatever. So he's here because he deserves to be here. And the fact that he at times is bold enough to step up and make that point, hey, this is not my first rodeo. I know what we're doing. We've won everywhere else. We're going to win here. He's said that in pretty much those words a couple times during the season. And sort of fighting for the respect that he feels he's earned just because, you journalists choose to look past my 20-year career of success. It doesn't mean that it's meaningless. So I just think they've been out of touch with it. I think they remain out of touch with it when they make statements like the awkwardness of that exchange or a silly article I read the other day how the Cavs are winning in spite of David Blatt instead of because of him. It's just absurd, and I'm glad he personally is pushing back against it with some confidence and some have some respect for my track record.
I'll tell you what, even so, I see so much of that. I see people comment. I'm in hundreds of these groups of Cleveland sports on Facebook, and I'll see fans comment, and you can hear that narrative being repeated. You can tell who certain people listen to in the media and stuff, because I'll see that same thing. Well, Cavs offensively are winning in spite of David Blatt. He calls terrible plays. Good thing LeBron's out there to change all the plays on the court and make up for him, and the Cavs are winning in spite of him. And I'm like, are you serious? They couldn't win somehow in spite of Mike Brown, though? That wasn't possible. That wasn't possible. But now LeBron's so good that that's what it was. He got so good that now he could win in spite of his coach. He just wasn't at that level yet. The coach was able to hold him back. Now, even David Blatt can't hold him back, I guess. It's a trip. You and I have been on the same boat with this, and I believe it's going to be
LeBron,
like Eric Spoelstra.
I think LeBron has given some of that pushback too now, Jerry, don't you think? He makes a point to credit his coaches. He's always talking about they put a great game plan together for us, and a lot of people probably think the Blatt haters or the people that don't want to give Blatt his due are, you might say, well, the Cavs are the best defensive team. Well, that's Tyronn Lue's area. He gets the credit for that, and Blatt's the offensive guy. Blatt said it last night. They've scored the ball all year. They haven't had a problem scoring all season. It's when they decided and got the buy-in from everybody that they were going to only win if they turned it up and played like he and Lou wanted them to play on the defensive end, that's when the season turned around. And he pointed to that time, not only the influx of the new players, but buying into the defensive mentality and that they were going to win by being a great defensive team, that's when the season turned around.
I believe also that when this story is told later, LeBron James will talk about earning respect for the coaching staff and David Blatt during the playoffs for what you just mentioned, the way they adjusted the game plan from not only round to round, but literally game to game, depending on injuries, depending on the strengths and weaknesses of whoever they were playing. I'm telling you, I believe that this journey that we're watching, it's not like these players aren't going through it too. And I believe that David Blatt is earning the respect of LeBron James for things that we see and things that we don't see, and that you'll realize that later. And I point back to Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra, and I never gave him as much credit as the national media did, because I said, hey, you're coaching LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. How much coaching are you doing at that point? But he was in the same
ball
boat.
Out there, yeah.
He was in the same boat early, and by years 3 and 4, he's Coach of the Year candidate, and he's this great, great coach now. And yes, he did. He learned in the fire of he went through all this same stuff that David Blatt's going through on a different level with especially because when he didn't win, he was screwing up the super team that was supposed to win 7 championships in a row, and even Eric Spoelstra can't get this right. And then a few years later, they got their stuff together. They were a couple championships in, and he's a genius coach, and I can see the same thing being the end result for David Blatt here.
You're right. Maybe the respect will come grudgingly and belatedly after he wins a title or two. We'll see how that plays out. But
hey, they did it to Phil Jackson too, man. He didn't win without Michael Jordan until he won without Michael Jordan. He just happened to do it then with Kobe Bryant. So whatever, man. But hopefully we can give David Blatt the chance to win with and without LeBron James. I'd be glad with that.
Yeah, I'd be glad if David Blatt is coaching this team long after LeBron James hangs up the shoes.
You know?
Yeah.
Check it out,
but,
Dan. 44 seasons for the Cavaliers. They've had 19 winning. First off, that's amazing right there too, because you think of the good runs and you don't realize that those were the good runs. In between, there was nothing much else to talk about. 19 winning records, 18 playoff appearances. That's also interesting that of the 19 times they had a record above 500, 18 of those resulted in the playoffs. 4 Eastern Conference finals.
and you can chalk that up to the NBA playoff format, where
right.
That's about all it takes to get in.
Oh, right, absolutely, and that proves that point right there. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals 4 times. They've been to the NBA Finals once, now twice, man. And I mean, you think of all the basketball played over the years: 1,660 wins, 1,967 losses for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the regular season. Add 70 wins and 78 losses in the playoffs. All of that, it's going to end with the championship here, my man.
Well, you are, like I said at the top, you've got the credibility right now to make that kind of a prediction. You've made good on a lot of your predictions here through this playoff run. So I'm just going to not make any predictions and just count on you. Let me just ride your coattails through this final series here. It's all I want to do. I don't want to go out on a limb like you have and be all kinds of wrong. But yeah, after last night, it sure feels good, and it sure makes the fan base here, I'm sure, feel a lot more confident than they did after that overtime win in Game 3. I mean, everybody's spirits are lifted after seeing the way they played that game, how they just took it and ran with it and just made it a no-doubter. That's got everybody feeling a lot better than they were a couple days prior.
Absolutely. And think about it. We got the whole litany of the fumbles, the drives, all of these things that we've got, the shots, all of these different things in Cleveland history. But look at how limited the actual because they all came in playoff games or first rounds or conference this and that. And how many of them? I mean, what do you got? You've got you got the Indians in 95 and 90, in my lifetime anyway, and you've got the Cavs with their run to the finals. I mean, it's not even like we've got a bunch of near misses. The near misses weren't actually right there. I mean, just that alone has been a rare feat.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, what you've got really in the last, quarter century is 1997 one-run lead in the ninth inning of Game 7, in terms of really being right there. Yeah. Even the drive wasn't the Super Bowl. The fumble wasn't even a game-winning. Wouldn't have even been a game-winning touchdown. Would have been only a game-tying touchdown had he made it. And the shot. We're not talking about the NBA Finals there. So you're right. We've only been to the brink really that one time. Even the '95 series was a 6-game series. So, right. We had a one-run lead in the ninth inning of Game 7 of the World Series in '97. That's the only close one, really, when you think about it. The Red Right '88 was a wild card game or a first round game after wild card.
Yeah, divisional game or whatever. So I mean, even being where they are now is still rarefied air for the Cleveland franchises in general.
Yeah, exactly right. We're at least to that point, and it's a 7-game series. But like you, I don't. We know that LeBron has won a game on the road in 20 consecutive playoff series. Windhurst keeps reminding everybody of that as one of LeBron's telling statistics. I believe we can go to Golden State and win a game, even though that's an awful tough environment to play in. But try to figure Golden State's going to beat this team 4 times? I don't think so, Jerry.
See, I think, and this is the reason I say 5, is I think that they can win. I think they're going to win 2 out of 3 in Golden State. I do believe that it's much like I said about, looking at the way Chicago played out and what I said about Atlanta. Their best shot is to get it's really to get the Cavs in Game 1 or grab game 2 if the Cavs steal that home court right away in game 1. That is their best shot, because we can't keep giving kudos to this coaching staff for the way they adjust. That is the very definition of that right there. And so to me, the more exposure the Cavs get to the Warriors, the more they will take away what they do. So I'll tell you, and again, if the Cavs get both of them right off the bat, this thing's going to be over a lot quicker than that. But I do believe that the Cavs can split and then begin to take control of a series with them, because I go back to what I said. You show me what their second plan is going to be, because if the Cavs have multiple ways to win, and this isn't again, hometown guys love to say, oh, we could beat you this way, we could beat you that way, but you can't. You want to go big? The Cavs have now shown they have a definite way to beat teams up that way. And if you want to go small, they have a definite way to go that way with you as well. And you can't say the same for the Warriors. Warriors have depth. They've got a great bench. They've got some good players. But I mean, if they're shooting and the Cavs aren't defending the three, then they'll just continue to kill the Cavs. But I don't see that. They've got that killer instinct on defense. They're gonna take away the 3-point from Golden State.
Yeah, you're right, and I don't know how they're going to handle Curry and Thompson. I'm assuming that they might try to play Shumpert on Thompson, and
I would think.
Boy, you wish you had a couple of Shumperts, but try out Kyrie on Curry and see how that works out.
But
trade
don't
off
you
on
think...
him, switch off on him. I think you're right. Beat me in some other way is what the Cavs are going to do. And like you say, what they've done all through these playoffs is adjust based on what the other team is doing, and they've been better at the ends of series than they are at the beginning, and that's a function of coaching, and there's no getting around it. You got to give the coaching staff a lot of credit, and they're not getting it nationally, but I think here at home we understand what they're doing.
And if you, like you say you get Shumpert and you go, look, your job is to lock down Klay Thompson. Okay, boom. If I know that that's taken care of, then and at that point, the way you defend Curry changes, because maybe you go into not the full, we're just going to give you the run of the place, but like teams used to do with LeBron, it's like we can't stop everybody, but what we can do is give Steph Curry as much trouble as we can. He's still going to get his stuff. He's going to run through some screens. He's going to get his shots. Keep him busy. Work him as much as you can. If he makes his stuff, he's going to make it, but don't let anybody else beat you outside of him, and you can live with that, because somebody's going to go off. And the same thing can be said in the way they come after the Cavs. The difference is that I think that's much easier said than done on their side than it is on ours.
Yeah, that's right. And one way that I saw Houston, try to do it and were successful to some degree in Game 4 is to deny him the ball when he doesn't have it, and just play him tight and try to deny, and make someone else and double him when he's got it, and make someone else on that team beat you, because they're deep and they've got some other offensive players, but if Steph Curry doesn't score 25, 30 points, they're going to have a hard time beating you.
I agree. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan and Everybody Hates Cleveland, a great conversation today. And while it's happening, look, man, this is how you know that it's coming up Cleveland in the world in general. As we're talking, the Indians just roll up that 10-run inning against Texas. They're now up 11-0 in the fourth inning. They're just
Chisenhall, whose face last seen on a milk carton, has a 2-run double and a homer today. But I didn't want to mess you up early in the show, Jerry. Before you even picked up the phone with me, I saw what had happened in the first inning, and I don't know if you saw how the Tribe scored their first run, but
no.
It was Swish going deep in the first inning. I didn't even want to say it because I knew we had a lot of Cavs talk to get into it. I didn't want your show to go off the rails technically by mentioning the name of Ohio in the first inning, taking Colby Lewis out of the park for the Tribe's first run. So I'll mention it now. Lonnie also 2-run double and a home run, and Carlos was a 3-run homer. So they're having some fun down on Lakefront today. I'm glad to see that for the folks that are taking that one in on the Businessman Special today.
Well, hey, we can say good things about Brohio, and I will say that he is, from the one side of the plate, though, he and Rayburn, they may be able to put a little effective combination there together, because Swisher has done a few things, even though, there's still times that you pull your hair out as well.
Yeah, no doubt. It's nice to see Lonnie break out a little bit today. He's been struggling so badly.
Big, yeah, because he's been struggling.
They've had a couple other guys, and this Texas series has really kind of cooled Brantley off, but he's got a couple hits today too. So nice to see those guys. And you're right, they threw the game away. I was saying the other day, and just a quick thing about pitchers making errors. I was getting ready to start lobbying for if the pitcher makes the error, let's count the run as earned. But I understand why you can't do that. The ERA is a sort of a measure of how you're doing, how you're scoring. Allowing the other team to score runs without making errors, and the pitcher counts as part of your team defense. But we threw a couple of games away with bad throws by pitchers. I thought, man, these guys deserve to have those runs tacked onto their ERAs. But it was frustrating as hell to see those the first two games of that series get away from them. But last night it was just sort of more of a lack of clutch hitting than anything else. But the day before they had the game in the bag and quite literally threw it away with pitchers throwing the ball around.
The Indians should legitimately be on a 9-game winning streak coming out of this game here today, because they threw away the first game and yesterday give up a 3-0 lead with the home runs and 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. No reason not to win, not to do what they're doing yesterday. It's still good, and the Indians are coming out of things here and getting right about where we thought they would be. Hitting the beginning of the month of June a few weeks ago, getting Gomes back, closing in on 500, and they're definitely warming up here. And I thought this past weekend, I mentioned it yesterday, great timing for them to come to town on a winning streak, on a holiday weekend with good weather, and then sweep the Reds. That left a good taste in people's mouth as far as hopefully giving what we called, Mike and I said the other day, a reboot as far as some of the fans, kind of a second look at the Tribe here hitting the month of June.
Yeah, that's true, and I know because you posted it on the Facebook page that you saw Al Chinicalla's Lazy Sunday piece from this week, where the premise of which is the pitching on this team is better than you think it is, and the defense is worse than you think it is.
And that's
even as bad as you think it is, it's worse than that. But I thought that was interesting. If people want to go read Al C's piece on Everybody Hates Cleveland, it's also up at the Diatribe. But so now we've got a couple guys breaking out today, Jerry. Bourne 3 for 3, as well as Chisenhall 3 for 3. And obviously good to see that happen. It looks like everybody's hitting up and down the lineup. In fact, in the third inning here, fourth inning, everybody in the lineup has hit except for Aviles, and he's hit the ball hard a couple times, lined out. So anyway, Tribe is going good. I know you want to get out of here early today, and so I'll let you go, but catch up with you on Monday, and we'll be scouting out the NBA Finals by that time.
Sounds good, Dan. Have a great weekend, and we will catch up next month as we kick off the month of June.
Okay, Jerry, have a good one.
You got it. Dan Wismar from EverybodyHatesCleveland.com. Make sure you check them out. We're going to take a break, come back and check us out. We're going to wrap it up for the day. I'll recap how the Indians have gotten to this 11-0 lead and call it a day. Don't go anywhere. Final segment of The Fix coming up next.
Come on and celebrate tonight, 'cause everything's gonna be all right. Let's celebrate.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get them away.
Hey, boo!
Boo!
The Sports Fix.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
Hey, everybody. Listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys, listen up. No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, you guys are rocking with Reggie Germany, former wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills and Ohio State Buckeye. You're rocking with the Sports Fix.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I would not.
I do feel quite good today. I do believe you do too. Welcome back into the Sports Fix. J-Rocc back with you as we're putting the final touches on this thing. Quick announcement. I don't know if I don't think I mentioned it earlier in the show. We are not in tomorrow. Thursday, no live Sports Fix. We're back wrapping up the end of the week on Friday as I've got a secondary commitment tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to be in here live, but that's okay. Mike Brandenberry, Jonathan Knight, Jeff Gorman, all going to be in the house on Friday as we get you set for the weekend and the Indians and all of that stuff. And maybe we'll know who the Cavaliers are playing in the NBA Finals. But heads up again, no live Sports Fix tomorrow. Thursday, we will be back on Friday doing the thing here, you guys. And I appreciate your patience with that. But sometimes priorities take priorities, and unfortunately it means that from time to time the Sports Fix is going to miss a day here and there for the foreseeable future. It is what it is. I love the time that we are together, and the next time that we're together will be Friday. As I said, Mike Brandenberry, Jonathan Knight, Jeff Gorman, all in the house, talking Tribe, talking Cavs, talking Browns, all of that as the Browns wrap up mini camps. Jeff Gorman will be talking about that and more. Can't wait. Indians 11-1. Texas gets on the board. I was just going to say it was a great beginning here for Carlos Carrasco in this one. Still is, but Texas gets on the board, takes the 0 off the board. Carrasco now gives up an earned run in the top of the 5th, where the Tribe's now up 11-1. An unbelievable start to the game offensively. Capped off with an 8-run third inning for the Indians. Michael Bourne is 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Lonnie Chisenhall's 3 for 3 with a home run, a double, and 3 RBIs. Nick Swisher, my man, Brohio, started things off. That's right, my man, keep things on the air. Swisher started things off with a home run in the second to right. Michael Bourne drove in Mike Aviles to give the Indians a 2-0 lead in the second inning. That big 8-run third inning blew things open. Murphy with a 2-run single. Chisenhall with a 2-run double. Bourne drove in Chisenhall. Perez drove in Bourne. Santana cleaned them up with a 3-run home run. Lonnie Chisenhall added a solo home run in the 4th inning. And Chirinos has just added the home run solo shot for the Rangers to make it 11-1 here in the 5th inning. 3 hits so far given up by Carrasco and 1 earned run, that home run. The Indians looking to wrap things up with the win here. It would still make it a winning homestand, and we'll see what happens with that. And we'll talk about it on Friday as the Tribe continues to head towards the month of June and look to climb out of the sub-500 area and begin what should be one heck of a summer here. And it starts with the parade that's coming at the end of the NBA Finals. As I said at the beginning of the show, mark it down. You can say J-Rocc told me. He may not get his NCAA bracket right, but he called this shot. The Cavaliers are just days away from bringing that championship to Cleveland, and cannot wait to officially know who it's going to be against and start talking about it, and then we can get the ducks in a row. Guys, I had a hell of a fun show today with you, as always. Opened up the phones, talking to some of you guys here on Facebook. You're tweeting back and forth with me. Shout out to everybody and to the Cavaliers. Congratulations on winning the Eastern Conference Championship. One more hill to climb, the big one. 4 more victories, and that parade is going down Euclid. Guys, great hump day edition of Sports Fix. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thanks to Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, and I look forward to wrapping up the week with you guys on Friday with Jonathan Knight, with Mike Brandenberry, with Jeff Gorman, and you, baby, here on the Sports Fix. We love you. We'll see you Friday at noon. Same bat time, same bat channel across the Sports Fix Radio Network. We love you, Cleveland, and beyond, wherever you're at. We'll see you right here Friday on The Fix.
Any city that we visit, when you're from Cleveland, survival's a must on these streets. We hustle, don't sleep, out here in Cleveland, Cleveland, Cleveland.
Okay, now here we go. Welcome to the Cleveland Show, but this ain't no cartoon.